Hey guys, you're listening to the PetaPixel Podcast, where we talk about all the latest news in the photographic industry and more. But if you're looking for expert advice, incredible selection, and the best deals on photographic equipment, video, lighting, and more, you go to B&H. B&H is PetaPixel's new gear partner. And for even greater savings at B&H, we recommend the B&H Payboo credit card, which lets you save the tax. You pay the tax, and B&H pays you back instantly. Save the tax on all eligible purchases shipped to eligible states. Or you can pay over time with our 6 and 12-month financing on minimum purchases of $199 for 6 months or $599 for 12 months. Terms apply. Learn more at bhphoto.com/Payboo. Credit card offers are always subject to credit approval. Payboo credit card accounts are issued by Comenity Capital Bank.
Hey everybody, it is the PetaPixel Podcast. We're all back in our regular studios, clutching his face out of, I don't know if it's peekaboo or agony. It's Chris Niccolls.
It's a little bit of both. It's agony boo. I'll be okay. Hey guys, hey everybody.
As well, we got my friend Jaron Schneider.
Hi.
Who I'm not sure if he totally knows what he's in for today, because in the third box, returning to the podcast, it's Robaxaset Jordan. That's right. I completely screwed up my neck on this trip, and I am quite medicated this fine morning. So if my reaction time is a little slower, it's not lag, it's medication.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just give a bit of context for the viewers. I'm tired. We were in New Mexico, weren't we, Jordan? We just got back from a week-long trip in New Mexico. It's going to be great. It's going to be exciting. Another episode of Trail Camera. We had a great time, but it takes a lot out of us. And clearly it's destroying Jordan's body and my mental state and well-being. But, you know, it's beautiful.
Well, I don't have a question. Now, we do have some stuff to talk about. There was a really compelling interview with Panasonic about L-mount sports photography that we want to touch on. Actually, a lot of Panasonic news because they just dropped a new point and shoot. Everybody's excited about point and shoots, right? Well, stay tuned for thoughts on that. But in terms of destroying our minds, I got nothing for you. In terms of destroying our bodies, I would like to know, what is the worst damage the sun has ever done to you? Because we were in New Mexico and I was poorly prepared for this trip. And I was thinking back, like, is this the worst day one I've ever had? I mean, some of you might have noticed we released a video about Tamron's Sync, which is a very cool little device. And everyone was like, what's up with those skin tones? Well, the reason those skin tones might have been off is I was like the color of burgundy wine, which we tried to correct for. So what's your worst encounter with the sun, gentlemen? Your worst sunburn, your worst heat stroke, the time it took you out?
Oh, I mean, I worship the sun as our creator and life giver and energy provider.
Yes.
Sorry. Is that wrong? Is that right?
Do you wear sunscreen ever, Chris? Like, is that a thing you do? I know your family does.
I do, yeah, because my wife and my daughter are like blue-white in color. They're like vampires.
The Navi.
Like you can see their veins and and so my daughter will burn within, like, no joke, 3 minutes, right? Unprotected. It's sad. They're made for the Isles of Scotland, but. No, as you can see, I've gotten quite dark, right? I've got a quite dark light, and I got a lot of melanin in me when I need to bring it out. So generally in the summertime, I will burn a little bit, get red, but it goes away the next day, you know, and it's not good. I'm not advocating this. And so because I spend a lot of time on the river, I do put sunscreen on, absolutely. But then once I build up my base layer, unless I'm expecting to be out in it for a long time, I typically don't, I'll be honest. But there have been times where fishing, I have not paid attention. And I do remember crisping the top of my ears really badly. You know,
yes, I remember that.
But the top of my ears got crisped so badly that, and my nose too, that they actually scabbed. Like, I've never had that, like where it actually burnt and then blistered and then scabbed.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, it was really bad. So, you know, I mean, time flies when you're having fun. And, you know, when you're young and you're fishing, there's a sense of bravado and manliness and like, I don't need that. What's the worst that can happen? I can
tell you the worst that can happen.
Yeah, you tell us, Jaron.
Yeah, you could end up like my father who died of skin cancer. So,
well, yeah, or my dad who died of skin cancer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Both of our fathers were white, and the other half was Asian. That's when you blend us together. Weirdly, you get a darker than either of member child. Like, I'm darker than my mom. I don't know if you're darker than your mom. Are you?
Yeah, no, she actually has fairly dark skin. She has fairly dark skin, but
I'm much darker than my mother. I'm like the darkest in my family, other than my cousin, who is also half white. He's also quite dark.
When are we going to do the mom cast? Get the moms on the show. I think it's time.
My mom will ask so many technology questions during it. Like, can you hear me? Can I hear you? Oh, man. Is that happening? Anyway, it would be very cute. It would be nice. My mother is very kind. To answer the question about sun, I went 15 years without getting a sunburn, and I didn't wear sunscreen. From 0 to age 15, I didn't ever get a sunburn.
Were you playing video games the whole time?
No, I'd be outside, but I'd swim a lot and stuff like that. But I was just so dark, it just never was a problem. I mean, my mom would make me put some sunscreen on, but like you put some on, it's going to be not worth it after, like you have to put another layer on after 2 to 4 hours. I wouldn't do that. So the end of the day, it didn't seem to matter. But I was raising money so that I could afford to be an exchange student in Japan. And so I was taking on odd jobs, and a friend of the family had like a bunch of grapevines that he had gotten all trimmed down, and he needed them like mulched, like chipped. So there was a wood chipper out there, and it was a hot summer day, and I was just like chipping, and I didn't have a shirt on, and I was just kept doing it, and it was like, I don't know, 5 hours in the sun, and I burned the heck out of my back. Gold member peeling, like big pieces. So
you were like shirtless doing the landscaping, just like a firefighter's calendar out there.
Yeah, at age 15, that remains the burnedest.
No, that's too young. Oh, now it's weird.
Jordan, you monster!
I missed that part.
That is the burnedest.
Tell me more about the time you cupped with naked
your
Jaron.
15-year-old nude upper half.
I apologize on behalf of our show, everybody.
So do I, man.
I remember sitting down and like just sitting in a chair and my back touching it. That was a great feeling because I was so itchy. So I could like scratch my back and the inside of my shirt, and it was gross. But I haven't been burned like that since. Because I'm like Chris, I don't burn easily.
No. And Jordan, you're a vampire, right?
I've done plenty of like regular old burning at the beach, but the one that jumped to my mind because we were just up in New Mexico where it's like high elevation, direct sun. And it reminded me of when we all went to Chile, and the first day, like I ignored their warnings of like, cover yourself from head to toe. And we went out and we were shooting just for like 20 minutes or something like that. And I felt like I was being microwaved. I felt like the flesh just like converting into something horrendous. The next day, like, thank goodness that whole video I'm not on camera because I was a disaster.
You were pretty red. Yeah.
Oh man.
I don't really remember that.
That was like the first day we went out. There is no memory of it because again, thank goodness I wasn't on camera. But the next day I was absolutely baked. And that was like short-term exposure. I've never felt anything like that before.
You could feel it cooking you. So, I mean, that's the thing. Same with New Mexico, right? It's like that high altitude, low population, no pollution in the air, like very, and we hit a heat wave when we were there. So like almost zero clouds, much to Jordan's chagrin because he was trying to get a lot of time lapses and stuff. You'll see that.
Do you like to see blue skies with nothing moving in a frame? Because I got you covered in this video.
Then it just looks like video, not like a time lapse.
No, it looks like a photograph, except maybe like a blade of grass will go like.
So I vote for Ireland for our next trail camera. Ireland,
yeah, somewhere
clouds.
You know, somewhere
Iceland,
else.
Ireland. Yeah,
I imagine it's bad. We didn't really notice because we were mostly covered in thick clothing because it was cold, Chris. But like that Tibetan plateau, I bet
same thing.
Will absolutely cook you in seconds.
Yeah. Same thing.
It's so high up.
You can feel it. You can just feel the intensity. Yeah. But look,
let's talk about news and Panasonic.
This episode of the PetaPixel Podcast is brought to you by PetaPixel memberships. That means those of you who are subscribers to PetaPixel, with a PetaPixel membership, you help us directly. It's the best way to support Chris, Jordan, myself, and everyone who works at PetaPixel. It is very much appreciated by us for those of you who pay these very small $3 per month or $30 a year to help keep everything moving. You don't just have to feel good about yourself, though, even though I'm sure that is a major factor as to why so many of you do it. You do feel good about yourself supporting what we do here. You also get stuff. You have access to our sample galleries. You get which is JPEGs and RAWs, by the way. When cameras can shoot both, there has been one exception where a camera can't shoot both simultaneously, so the entire
Fujifilm
gallery.
X-Half.
Well, that's the other one. I guess there's two. One of them only shoots JPEGs, and the other one only would shoot
Pixie.
JPEG. The Pixie would only shoot RAW or JPEG, so we went with RAW because I feel like that was the smarter choice if you're going to pick one. But other than that, you get JPEG and RAW. You also get discounts at the PetaPixel merch store. You get money just immediately back to you to spend at the Moment store, which isn't just smartphone cams, like
There's
camera
good
lenses,
stuff
guys.
on there.
There's
Yeah.
actually good stuff. Chris's favorite thing that he has from there is his filter case, right?
Look, I gotta talk about this, okay? Because this is something that's happened recently. Jordan likes to use the gear that he's used to, and he will use it over and over. Like, damn your think tank bag to hell. That thing is awful, and it needs to go in the
masterpiece.
you need to bury it. Like, all the rubber on your strap, it just like it's all flaying off like so much dead skin.
I got
It's
a line
awful.
on another one, so
Oh, I hate your
this
guts.
might be Urban Disguise number 3 could be happening for me.
Why do you people like this? You're enabling him. Anyways, he also loved the low pro filter case, which is honestly, the fold out accordion style. It's objectively a terrible filter case. It's not a good one. Okay,
Stuff falls on the floor.
Yeah. Jordan used this for a decade, right? Over a decade. Finally, he switched over to the Moment filter case, okay, which I use, which you can get on the Moment store. And he's like, this is actually a really nice filter case. And for Jordan to say that,
Stubborn, obstinate Jordan.
yeah, I hope you guys will, for maybe the tone of my voice, understand the gravity of the situation, how important this is. It really is a damn good filter case, and you can get it on the Moment store. Sorry, Jared, I
How much
digress.
does it cost?
I don't know, but it's a great case. It
Moment
actually provides a fair
filter
amount of
case.
protection. It slides into things. It's got all these little pockets, so you're not going to drop it. I can hold 5 filters comfortably with an assortment of stepping rings.
It's a $40 case.
Yeah.
You get $15 off that if you're a PetaPixel member.
There you go.
$25 for that banging case?
There you go. You also get 5% off your purchases at KEH, which is, I mean, if you're like me and buying expensive cameras
No one's
way
like you.
too regularly, might have another one on the way.
It's going to pay for itself.
Yeah, you get the tax at least, if not more, off. And then we're actually working on adding a few more perks. It's not signed and confirmed yet, but there may be other discounts that you can get. So
I think we're making a calendar of 15-year-old Jaron shirtless chopping wood. Isn't that what we were going to do for?
There was no one out there with a camera. It has not been documented in any way.
Sorry, I didn't get the memo. I'm sorry.
Anyway, we appreciate those of you who are PetaPixel members. Thanks so much for your support. We really, really, again, appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Let's get to the news. The first story on the board. DJI is getting litigious. They're going after Insta360 over what they're saying are drone and image processing patent violations. And it's unique. It's not that Insta360 violated a patent that DJI has. DJI is claiming that 6 of Insta360's patents should instead belong to DJI, on the basis that the employees who developed them had left DJI within 1 year before joining Insta360, which is relevant under Chinese patent law. These technologies are allegedly directly related to the work employees have been doing at DJI before going to Insta360, which, under Chinese law, could mean that DJI has a claim to those associated patents. DJI is known, just simply through their actions, of trying to prevent a competitor from getting any foothold anywhere, either through taking a loss on a product that directly competes with that. Actually, that is the main way they do it. Or here, they're trying to go after Insta360 through litigation. So the one that I'm referring to, I think that they successfully managed to really crush is Hover.
Yeah.
With those two, they had the Flip, and then there's another one you have, Jordan, that you like too, the compact DJI drones that are just super affordable and quite good, which is the one that you will actually use, the one that looks like a CD player.
That's the Flip.
That's the Flip?
Which I like quite a bit. There's also the Neo, which I believe was also like a hover-ish design.
Yeah. So that, I mean, come on. Hover just can't compete with DJI's technology and price. Like Hover's thing was going to be their price, but I think DJI willingly took a loss there. There's just, you look at what's in it and you're like, how would they make any money charging what they charge? Well, that wasn't the goal. Yeah. Any thoughts on this, guys? Like,
yeah,
these companies don't like each other.
My big one is, remember back when we did the anti-grav review, Chris, and we were like, for a Generation 1 drone, can you believe how polished the flight interface is on this? It's like this is their 6th or 7th crack at it, and now, finding out like, oh, a bunch of people left DJI and probably brought all of their experience on things that did not work. Now, I don't know specifically how much they were working on the flight of this, because they mentioned like, okay, there's one potential thing which wasn't even implemented in the anti-gravity, where it like zooms away from a subject. But I mean, if you're coming from a workplace where they make I don't think it's debatable, the finest drones in the world, you're bringing a lot of that experience over, and you can skip quite a few years of trial and error finding something that works.
Yeah, pulling employees across. I guess you're supposed to work at Starbucks for a year, and then you can go to your competitor's company. I'm not sure exactly.
Did you see a Starbucks in China?
Yeah.
Oh, why didn't I go in and get one of those I've been there mugs? I like to collect those. I hate everything that Starbucks like serves me to consume, but I like the mugs.
You like the mugs.
Yeah.
You can put better coffee in those mugs.
And I do. Actually, you usually use them for tea because I like these thermoses for coffee. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see how this goes. What I find interesting is that there's some of the comments on PetaPixel were like, so I guess not every business is just like owned by the Chinese government. I feel like it's worth pointing out that no, that's not how it works there. Going to China, I don't know if you can say the same thing, Chris, but I felt like, boy, there sure is a whole lot of Western propaganda going on.
Western marketing for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Brands, of course. Yeah.
And like thinking like, ooh, China, that sort of thing. It's like, I don't think it was nearly as spooky as the West likes to make it out to be.
No. It's not like the sort of classic North Korea stereotype where everything's made of plastic and it's all fake when you walk by. No. I mean, it's a super modern metropolis full of lots of Western brands, and and of course lots of Chinese brands, and it's pretty great. Yeah.
All right. This one I'm sure you guys have thoughts on. Very similar to what they did at the end of 2024, and when you reviewed it the beginning of last year, Panasonic has announced a point and shoot called the ZS300, or ZS300 for those of you who are like me in America.
Yes, no, you're switching over. I love it.
It is basically exactly the same as the ZS200. Back in 2018 was when they launched that camera. Yeah. Except what's missing, Chris?
Well, yeah. So, man, how do I do this without swearing? So, like, look, first off, the ZS200 is a great little camera. I always liked the design. It was actually quite beautiful. Had just like a nice little lip of a grip. This is like a big 15 times optical zoom, going up to like a 250 millimeter full frame equivalent kind of thing. 320, full frame equivalent. It's huge. 1-inch sensor. I mean, it's a really nice little point and shoot. And one of the things that's really cool with that camera, the ZS200, is that you had an EVF, so that you could bring it up to your eye and get the stability to shoot this giant zoom range and effectively use it, right? Because you hold it out here and like that magnification is brutal. Well, in their infinite wisdom, the ZS300 has now come out. It has a USB-C port, which is of course important for modernizing. See, Jordan's excited, but they took away the EVF. And they did the exact same thing on the ZS99. And again, it's like, no company's really gonna, or at least they've never told us directly this is why, but there was a little bit of back and forth about the availability of getting these EVFs and the costs involved and how they weren't able to source it.
I don't
really buy it either.
I don't buy it. We've reached out to Panasonic for an official statement on why they are removing EVFs from cameras like this and charging, I believe, $100 more.
Yeah.
for that product.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like it.
Bro, and they will often say things like, "Oh, well, the modern audience doesn't really need it or want it or care about it," right? That's another, like, basically they said kids these days, they don't need an EVF. But I don't buy it. And 24 to 360 millimeter, I stand corrected. It's a great little camera. It's stupid to do it without an EVF, in my opinion, but it has nice manual controls. It takes good photos, and I honestly think you should try to get a ZS200 and just deal with the micro USB situation.
That corner of the camera looks so naked without the EVF there. It's just a blank. Nothing.
Stupid. It's just blank stupidness. Yeah. And this is a cool camera. You get electronic flash that pops up. Like, you have some manual control, a command ring on the front of the lens. Like, it actually is a really nice travel camera to use. And I don't know. And you're going to make me review it, and I'm just going to be grumpy the whole time. Video specs haven't changed. Still 4K 30. No surprise there. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'm furious.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem kind of odd, same as when we were looking at the ZS99, that Panasonic has made so much progress over the last few years, and we're not even seeing, like, software benefits, essentially, to these. Like, you know what? Give me a point and shoot with log. Why not? That would be fun to have.
I feel like Sony was doing that, like with the RX series. The RX
RXs have S-Log 2 and then eventually S-Log 3.
Yeah, they had all the PPs in there.
Yeah.
Yes, PPs, yeah.
Yes, our favorites. So, yeah, I mean, on one hand, it's very disappointing. On the other hand, I mean, good luck getting a ZS200 for a reasonable price in the past. Like you said, the price has gone up $100, but I bet on the used market it was more than that. But I'm sure you can get an answer for me. Yeah.
What's our guess? How much do you guys think a ZS200 will be?
What's the current retail on a 300?
Pushing my chair out of the way. There we go.
The ZS300 is... It's $900.
Wow.
I'm going to say used models we're going for like 1,000 to 1,100, somewhere in there.
Like a ZS200?
A ZS200, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no. There isn't one available on the Canon.
Yeah, because they can't get them because I bet they're still selling even at inflated prices. So
I see one here on eBay for $830. There's one on Poshmark for $500.
What? Off to Poshmark, all of us.
Yeah, this one, it looks like it's in decent working order.
Only dipped in honey once.
Okay, this camera looks so much cooler with that EVF on there. Now that I'm looking at it side by side.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
But yeah, so 900. It's close. It's 830. It will probably go up more.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like they could almost justify removing the EVF in like a standard zoom kind of compact, like the LX10 didn't have one previously, but that stability is really important with these super telephoto kind of cameras. That's where I really want to have it, so I can actually keep the camera a little more stable.
Sure. Yeah.
How bright is that rear display? Do you guys recall? Because that's another issue. Is if it's a bright sunny day outside, can you even compose?
Jaron, that was 7 years ago, 8 years ago. I don't have it right. Immediate recall on the brightness of that display.
No, I don't. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything to write home about. It's always nice to have that. And honestly, yeah, like the eyes at certain ages just get worse. Like, I like having an EVF so I can actually compose properly. So regardless, I think it's unfortunate. It's very much what the ZS99 did, and I'm sure we'll have the exact same complaints about it. And it's just the way it is. It's the world we live in.
That EVF doesn't tilt either, which is lame.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
So if you guys recall, a few weeks ago, Fujifilm was like, hey, here are some ideas for lenses. We'd like you guys to vote on which ones you'd like. The results are in. What do you think was I don't know if you've looked at this yet. If you've already looked, I'm not going to ask you to guess.
I have not looked at this yet.
Okay, so what do you think of the options was the most popular? Chris, if you need a reminder, I can tell you. Okay,
please.
Here's a reminder in no particular order. I'm going to jumble this up. Let's see here. There was a 90mm f2 APD, a set of Cineprimes T1.2,
right. Yeah,
the 35mm f1.42. They also suggested a soft focus lens with a porous aperture, a 16 to 50 2.8 to 4.8, a 16 to 80 2.8, an 18 to 50 1.4, a dual fixed, I don't know how to describe this, a dual focal length 18 and 30. That's the best way to do it. A 14 to 140, 3.5 to 6.3. And yeah, that's the full stack. 33 f1, 35 142. Yeah.
Which ones are the most popular? I'm going 16 to 80 f2.8, and I'm going the 2 brass remakes.
I thought the one that made absolutely no sense was a new 35 1.4, so I'm going to say that's the one that won.
No, Chris is correct. The top one is the 16 to 80 2.8, the one that you guys actually said would be makes the most sense.
I want that.
Yeah.
Number 2, that got 16.4% of the vote. When you have 14 options, getting 16% is pretty good.
Yeah.
The 18 to 51.4 was right behind it at 15.85%.
No one's going to actually buy that if they make it. But
An
yeah,
18
I
to
think
51
everyone
form.
wants the bragging rights.
I liked the idea.
Is it because that lens is going to cost a fortune if they were to make it?
And be huge.
And be huge.
Yeah, like a 27 to 70 mil f2. That's going to be pretty chonky. I mean, I guess we have 28 to 70 f2s already. So,
and I love those lenses. Yeah.
And the third place one was the dual prime 18 and 30.
Ah, interesting.
So it sounds to me like Fujifilm's best course of action would be to make the 16 to 80 2.8. We'll see if they do. Typically, well, I say typically, but this has only happened once to my knowledge. When they made the last one that people asked for, it only took them about a year. However, I don't know how much of the formula they borrowed from the X100, so they didn't necessarily need to do as much from scratch. This they would have to build from scratch, so I wouldn't expect it to be ready inside of a year unless they already anticipated people asking for it.
Right.
And they've already started working on it. They've also never said that they're actually going to make any of these exactly. I think they were just trying to see what people were most interested in for the next project. But it would be nice to see them make something that people specifically voted on. That would be a first, I think. I don't think any company has ever done this. Like, which one of these do you want us to make? And they're like, cool, we're on it. And then 2 years later, here it is. That'd be neat. Okay.
Very cool.
Thoughts?
Very cool.
Nothing else? Cool. All right. Despite the fact that compact cameras are booming again, Canon is still, God, they must have been hurt. They must have hurt the wallet bad, because they are still not going to dive right into making compacts again. They're taking it super cautiously. Here's a quote from Manabu Kato. He is the one of the executives I spoke to at CP Plus in Japan. The fixed lens camera market is much more invigorated thanks to the boom in video shooting and also thanks to support from young people. Image rendering that cannot be done by smartphone. We consider that this is a totally a new need from when fixed lens cameras had their peak in the past. There are differences in the preferences among young people, particularly between potential users and existing one. Specifically, the key difference is whether they find joy in owning a camera or simply in using one. We believe that the young potential users put importance on experience. That's one of the things we are keeping in mind when developing new products. We are currently considering what we're going to be the succeeding models after this, so please keep an eye for what's coming next.
Well, that's not a no.
It's not a no, but they're being
I hope
very
they
careful.
have EVFs. I'm skeptical.
So I'm sure some of us had like a great grandparent who lived through the 30s. And then from that point forward, they were always like, we got to have a lot of extra canned goods. I feel like that's what Canon's like. Like they're still dealing with the trauma of the complete compact collapse 15 years ago. And they're like, I don't want to touch that hot stove again. That's scary to me. And their pantry is now full of, no, this metaphor is falling apart completely.
They
But
had
them scared.
At least two factories in two different countries that they had to straight up close down, which that's like lots of people lost their jobs. That's a huge loss in investment. They probably lost tons of money in like being unable to offload the units that they had. I don't know what happened to what they made. I mean, if they still had them, I bet they could sell them now and they'd sell immediately. Yeah. But like, yeah, they were hurt. And it's tough to immediately jump back in after losing probably millions of dollars.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're concerned. Like, is this just a bubble? We fire up a brand new factory, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, compact cameras are lame. Back to my smartphone, which brings me more joy. I don't think that's the case, but I could see how they'd be scared about them.
It kind of makes sense as to why Panasonic is not really taking any risks and removing as much cost as they can while charging the same amount for compact cameras. Because maybe they're feeling the same way. Be like, I don't know, man, it's hard to invest in this when we don't know if it's going to stick around. Jordan, do you have much experience with Audio Technica?
I do, actually. I used to use an AT875, was one of my favorite little onboard shotgun microphones. Chris might remember. Back when we swung big cinema cameras around, we'd have one wireless receiver for Chris and a little shotgun bobbling around. It had great sound. I really liked that microphone.
Yep. I did not actually know that Audio Technica was a Japanese company. I don't know how I didn't know this, but they are.
How did you not know this?
I don't know.
Oh
I know all the Japanese companies, I thought.
How did you not know this?
Yeah, Audio Technica is a Japanese company. You mentioned an on-camera shotgun, Jordan. Well, did you know that it had been at least a decade? It might have been slightly longer than 10 years since they made a new on-camera microphone.
That tracks. I haven't actually thought about Audio Technica in a very long time. I think I checked out their booth at NAB like 8 years ago. But,
we walked by it last year. We
said like, I don't see anything new. Let's keep going.
Do you have anything? And they're just like, I don't know, not for what you do, is essentially what they told us.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I guess we're going to keep walking.
But now they have ATVs, the all-terrain vehicle of microphones. Take it anywhere.
It stands for the
Rugged.
Audio
Technica Video.
ATV SG1 and SG1L. Yeah, the Audio Technica Video. That's their new line. They have two of them. One of them is very simple.
Right.
No onboard controls. Well, the other one does actually look legitimately cool. So it has a bunch of onboard controls, including a gain knob on it, but it also will allow you to record with a lav attached to it. So you get two audio channels, one the on-camera one, and then also the lav recorded to two sides of a stereo recording, which is neat. It's nice to have like a backup audio.
That's what we were doing 10 years ago, effectively, running a dual audio system with an Audio Technica mic. I think that's pretty cool. And, I don't use a lot of shotties for the longest time, but on our last trail camera episode, we actually pulled out the shotgun a few times for some impromptu stuff. And I don't love the audio from it, but it certainly beats like in-camera audio or interrupting a scene to lav people up. So it definitely still has its place. I want to know what this thing sounds like. I'm very curious.
Yeah, me too. I'm just a salt of the earth kind of guy, right? You guys know that, right? I'm just a simple man who enjoys simple pleasures. And I really think we should go back to some shotgun microphone stuff because it's not just about the convenience, although I do like it on the water because it is convenient, but also it's quick. You can capture things happening, like in a documentary situation. You can capture things happening without having to worry about like laving people up, and so like you get those little snippets, which I think are magical. I'd love to have more of that. It obviously doesn't make sense for a show, but
they capture more nat sound too.
Sure,
which
absolutely
has its benefits.
Yeah,
I love the idea of it being able to be both, so it can just live on the top of my camera, and if I want to attach a lav, it's super easy to do it, and it's just flows right together. So I do like this thing. It's compact. It looks well made. It ships with a dead cat, which is awesome. Love that too. I'm not really sure how you can use the dead. Oh, maybe you think the lav can fit up inside of the dead cat?
Well, it's clearly got a vibration rig inside the actual tube itself, which is also pretty cool. So you don't have like rubber bands on the outside. And it's also neat that they put a cold shoe on top of the mic.
Right. That's to mount that lav.
For the lavs. Very
sure. Yeah, it's awesome. Or whatever else you might want to put on there, right?
Sure.
It's pretty cool. Cool.
The ATV SG1, which is the one we're referring to, is a $249 mic, which is not a lot. That's actually
not terrible.
Completely reasonable.
Could be worse.
The cheaper one, which doesn't have any of the onboard controls or the cold shoe, is $119. So that's even more approachable if you just want to toss this on a small compact camera and you're just looking for a quick mic.
And I couldn't find any indication. It looks like it's the same pickup pattern between the two. So if you're just looking for a shotgun, then that's a great value.
Yeah, it looks as though the main capsule is exactly the same between these two. It's just if you need or want more control. Like the other stuff that the other one has is a headphone input with a volume knob on it. I tend to like to monitor through the camera because that's where
you want to know what's recording. Yeah,
but sure, nice to have. And then there's also, I think, a high pass filter inside that you can turn on and off inside the more expensive one too.
I can tell a quick cautionary tale back at the camera store. I had a customer who shot an entire documentary plugging the headphones into the microphone pack, and then later found out he had a faulty cable going into the camera. So he had no usable audio after weeks and weeks of shooting, thinking he had banging audio coming out of that. So that's my one word of caution for people looking at using the headphone jack on the mic itself.
That is
a nightmare.
Soul crushing. Like, I feel bad now. I'm sure whoever this is has long since gotten over it, but I'm feeling it for them.
I could feel them holding back the tears. It was rough to be the bearer of bad news there.
Yikes. All right. A couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that a new company had joined Micro Four Thirds. Songdian.
I want to review that lens.
This is different.
What?
Oh, no. Sorry. I was thinking the YOLO. I'm
YOLO.
sorry. Yeah.
I understand the confusion. This is a separate company that you've never heard of, making stuff for a mount you like.
I'm on muscle relaxants.
Songdian is the company that made effectively what are cameras. They look like modern cameras, but are crud on the inside. They're dash cams with a plastic housing that looks like a nice camera. Well, Songdian says that they are taking their entry into Micro Four Thirds as an official partner seriously, and is currently working on a brand new Micro Four Thirds camera that's interchangeable lens, and a lens that you can interchange on said camera. Okay.
You're gonna make you love making me play with this trash.
I feel like maybe we should have waited till this news story was a little more baked before, because there's a camera and a lens potentially. I got nothing to say. I hope it's great. I hope it's camera of the year and lens of the year. That would be awesome.
It won't be,
man.
But I will say this. One positive thing. I mean, who knows, right? We'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but I highly doubt it. But who knows?
Is that giving them the benefit of the doubt?
Yeah, not really. But on the silver lining, the positive note is that if these come out and get attention, even if they don't get traction, if they get attention, it then really puts a fire under companies like OM System and Panasonic to maybe be like, damn, we probably should do something about this. Because there's rumors and there's like, I don't know if it's viable, blah. Well, if these other companies start getting traction, they will change their tune pretty quick. So there's always positives.
You'd think, well, actually, you might be right. So one of the most popular cameras for like 2 years in a row in Japan are the rebranded point and shoot trash cameras that have Kodak on them. Yeah. They sell like crazy in Japan, and that is having an effect on quote unquote real manufacturers actually making point and shoots. So, Chris, that brain of yours, it's got good stuff in there.
Sometimes, man, most of the time, no, it's just a maelstrom of dog poop.
Last thing on this. Maelstrom of dog poop. The last thing on this is next week I may have something more to talk about regarding this subject matter.
You're getting married again. You guys are renewing your vows? That's adorable.
How is that related to Micro Four Thirds?
Oh no, that's the dog poop again.
Let's move on to our last story, and one that I want to kind of draw out into our main story. I spoke to Panasonic at CP Plus, and I brought up that I didn't feel as though L-mount had a complete camera system, really. Like, we have some entry level, we have some mid-range, we have a lot of video options. We have a nice, I would say, mid to high-end video option in the S1 II, but L-mount still lacks a real pro body. Something that people would be able to shoot sports, wildlife, and action with, that competes with a Nikon Z9, a Sony Alpha 1 or an Alpha 9, or a Canon R3 or R1. There's just nothing even close to that on L-mount. And so I asked Panasonic, you guys may not be all of L-mount, but you seem to make the most cameras. The mount itself really relies on you, Panasonic Lumix. Is that something that you're going to fill that gap? No, it is not. Panasonic says that a camera like that isn't the focus. But Jordan, an S1H successor, is.
Yeah, so, of course. I'm very excited to see what they'll do on that side. And I think it makes sense. Like, until someone in L mount has really banging autofocus, and I know you're about to say the BF, but yeah, the BF was surprisingly good, considering it's kind of their first generation of that autofocus, but no one's testing it on sports because it doesn't even have a shutter. So you'd have weird, stretchy, bendy everywhere. We don't know how that's actually going to perform in truly demanding situations, and I suspect not great. So until they sort that out, it would be totally counterintuitive for them to say, like, our autofocus system struggles with fast action. Here's a fully stacked sensor camera with incredible burst rates that's not going to hit. Because even the S1 II can shoot 40 frames per second, but Chris tried using it with skateboarding, and a lot of those shots were out. So they have to sort that.
That sucked. Yeah, they make. They've got a lot of bases covered for photographic use for sure. Just not that very demanding, very critical situation. And I mean, even would you say they got lenses for it? I mean, L Mount Alliance, you got good
with
sports
Sigma.
glass.
The best sports lens lineup, I would say. If you look at the 3-6, the 500.
I brought this up in the story. It's like to this day, the 300 to 600 doesn't work to its maximum capacity on any camera.
Yeah,
right.
That's insane to me. A lens of that power and viable, like that might be one of the best sports and action lenses on the market
period
today.
In history.
And you cannot use it to its full potential. And that's mind-boggling to me.
It bottles your mind.
It
like, removes your brain.
You got genie brain?
It's all
puts it into a jar
and it all bounces around.
Yeah, and then there's electrical probes going in, and you talk through a bottle. Your bottle brain.
Mind-boggling. Okay. Yeah, I just think it's insane. And so I am now thinking that L mount might never get a sports camera, something that could actually use what Sigma makes.
The S1 II is the closest you're going to get, right?
That hurts me. That sucks.
Right.
Now, that being said, I mean, this is still, relatively speaking, a fairly young mount. I mean, compared to, how long DSLRs and everything like that. There is time, but I do think they're very smart to be like, this is not our strong suit at this point. Let's focus on what is, because it's not like L mount cameras are just owning the market in a huge way where they've got the option of putting out some more niche cameras. Like, they need to make L mount cameras that will sell. And what they do really well is mid-range and video. And yeah, the S1R2 is a great portrait and landscape camera. So they have that covered. I think they should lean on that, sell some more bodies until there's a little bit more foundation there. And then I think the sports body should be the last one. Because if you talk to Canon, Sony, and Nikon, I bet they'd tell you, like, Z9s, A1 Mark IIs, R1s especially. Those are not our best-selling bodies.
They're not, but every single person who then gets into the genre of wanting to take pictures of animals or sports, they're looking at these brands and they're following the people that have gone before them, and those people are shooting Sonys and Canons, largely, and Nikon to some degree too. So it's like,
you want to be able to have the option to do it, I think, and you want to have something to aspire to. So you don't have to make an R1 or an Alpha 1. You can make something that's not like to that level and make like a Z8 something. Because you can shoot wildlife with a Z8. You can't shoot wildlife with any L mount camera reliably.
If an S1 II focused better, more reliably in those critical situations, I think it'd be a very popular general purpose camera, that could do sports and wildlife. But yeah, I mean, the problem is what you don't want is a company does not want to build a stigma, because those stigmas stick around for a long time.
I mean, Panasonic is still wearing one that's not even accurate
very
anymore.
Much wearing one. And they're basically perpetuating it by saying, yeah, that's just not a direction we're going to move, right? So they have this stigma that they don't really make cameras for photography as much as they do for videography, which is not necessarily true, but the stigma is there. And we've perpetuated that ourselves because, they have to work on it. And also this stigma that their autofocus is not up to snuff with other brands. And that's true. And if they want to break it, you kind of have to work at it. If you don't work at it, you're not going to break it.
Well, and the other thing we should touch on is where are they getting this theoretical sports sensor from? Because Nikon generally has exclusivity on their highest end sensors. Like, we haven't seen anyone else do the 45 megapixel fully stacked sensor. Canon's making their own fully stacked sensors, and Sony's using that 50 megapixel one isn't going anywhere. That's in the A1, A1 II. So are they going to suddenly open this up for Panasonic, even though there's no precedent for them giving them these flagship sensors? Or is Panasonic going to go to some other sensor company?
They've tried that
It's
in the
not going to
past and they
compete,
gave up.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
They used to have their own fab with Tower, and they just don't anymore. They died. They'd have.
It's not competitive.
Yeah. I think the answer to that question is you can make. I think Chris said it already. The S12 would be a viable wildlife camera, and it's partially stacked. It's just a matter of the. They have,
but the Z6 III is just as capable with better autofocus for like $2,100 right now. That's a tough sell to call it a flagship sports and wildlife.
Yeah, okay, fair. Yeah. I mean, I'm not even asking them to make a flagship sports camera. I'm asking them to make a sports and wildlife camera. I just want something that works.
That's all I'm saying is the S12 is like the closest thing that they actually have to that, right? And it's not there. And why would you pay? Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Z6 III is a great all-purpose wildlife. I'm sure there's a lot of photographers out there using Z6 IIIs to shoot great sports and wildlife shots. And and for a really good price.
Now, the one thing that gives me some faith is Panasonic and Nikon are ping-ponging back and forth as to who is the best for firmware support. And the S12 is a better focuser now than when it launched. Sure. Is it going to be competitive with a Z6 III? I mean, it potentially could, but I haven't seen that kind of like a quantum leap in autofocus. Well, except for maybe like the Z9 very early on from version 1 to 2. Saw a huge improvement in autofocus, but that was early on.
Yeah. So I mean, the title of this podcast, I don't even think is hyperbole. I legitimately don't think L-mount will ever get a wildlife camera. And that is, to me, I think a really limiting as far as the interest in L-mount. Like, you want people to be able to see what's possible with your mount. I mean, that's why flagships exist. You're not going to sell those to everyone, but you want people to think that's what it trickles down is what the idea is. And there's just nothing up there with L-mount. And so I also think back to when, Kazuda-san told us that he wants to, someday he has aspirations of making a camera worthy of the lens that he's made, the 300-600.
Right.
I mean, it's going to have to at this point because no one else will. And that stinks because it's not his specialty. His specialty is optics, and cameras are like a side project for them, the fun side project. It just seems like a lot of responsibility to foist on a company that doesn't do that. It's just a huge investment. I feel really bad about it, and I really wanted L-mount to be more. And unfortunately, I think due to regulations, members of the L-mount Alliance can't actually work together as closely as would be nice. So they can share the mount, but they can't share technology.
Well, and it's still up to those companies how much they actually do want to share, right? I mean, you don't want to give away stuff. So it's the situation we're in. That's okay, but I feel like the stigma is being perpetuated for sure.
When I was thinking about this topic, I thought of one other thing too, which is the precedent in other mounts. So let's go back to Micro Four Thirds. Panasonic never made a true flagship there, where Olympus was doing like the OM1, EM1X, things like that. The true flagship technologically was always the GH series. They had the best guts in them and stuff like that, and those were primarily video cameras. So I think they're just like, well, that was successful back in the day. You look at the S series, I would consider, the S1R2 is their resolution flagship, but I would consider the S12 their true flagship in L-mount. It's the most capable body that they make, and it's the hybrid video body.
So the G9 II, which you really liked for, I would say what? You liked that camera for maybe 2.5 months before you replaced it with something else?
The GH7 came out later because it was the best Micro Four Thirds video camera for a nice little window there. By little window, I mean, like 2-3 months.
So putting yourself back into using that camera.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they kind of debut a more advanced open gate concept on the G9 II of all cameras? Wasn't that
No, it was phase detect autofocus. That was the first Micro Four Thirds camera where they had that. So it was a better focuser than the GH6. Then they hit equilibrium after the fact with the GH7 on that. And I would still kind of prefer, like, I actually like the handling on the GH7 a little more for photography. So if I'm taking a panty out, I actually use the GH7 still.
Yeah, what is the main difference between the G9 II and the GH7?
It's the body design. So it's got that ripping, fully articulating, tilty screen that I love to death. It's got the ports on it. It's got a fan, things like that. But I like that chunky grip because I got these giant hands.
Yeah. The G9 II was really a marketing thing. Like they marketed the G9 as their sports wildlife go do it camera.
So that's what I'm asking here. Is it actually good at that?
I mean, it's fine. It's fine. And they're rugged, absolutely, right? And they weren't supposed to have a ton of video features. That was kind of how they were segmenting it. Like they were more the photo-inspired camera, and the GHs being the video. And that's why we found it so ironic when the G9 II turned out to have really good video capabilities and didn't really improve things that much, than the autofocus. And look, like. We went to Costa Rica for trail camera. I shot some bird photos that I'm really happy with on the OM system cameras, right? The OM1s, the OM1 Mark II, and that's their premium sports and action camera. And you know what? Like, if I'm being completely honest, the tracking works better with the bird detect, absolutely. But OM system cameras do, and they're super rugged, and they handle really nicely, and the lenses are great. I mean, that's a big part of it. They got great lenses for that. But the autofocus performance, I still find more reliable overall on something like a Sony, right? Or a Canon's animal detection autofocus is excellent, right? Nikon's have come a long way. So like it's all about, can you take a great wildlife photo on a G9 II? Can you take a great wildlife photo on an S1R, too, if you wanted to? Totally, you can. It's just not ideal for it, and you're going to miss chances, and you're going to have less keepers. And when you are investing money, we're fortunate that we get to travel, for these shows. And it's not on our dime, but our listeners out there are going out there and they are paying real money to go on these trips, to have these experiences. You want as many good chances as you can get at. So I totally understand, right? You need the best equipment and you need the ideal situation that makes you feel as confident as possible. So could you shoot wildlife with a G9 II and get great shots? 100% you could. Would it be my first choice? No, probably not.
Can I ask, do you think the G9 II, the GH7, the OM1, or the S1 II, which one will you get more keepers with if you're shooting wildlife? Is this just a matter of, they're kind of all basically sitting? I would still, out of those choices, personally, I would still go OM1 Mark II. And it's not just the fact, their autofocus is pretty good, but I do like the smaller size. I do see the merit in that. Do I have to put noise reduction on everything? 100% I do. There's no doubt. Like you're not going to get something for nothing. And so that is the trade-off. But modern digital noise reduction is really good. In post is what I mean, like using Photoshop or using Topaz or whatever else you like to use. But I had to apply that to a lot of my photos for sure. There's no getting around it. But I did like the small size. I do love the handling on the OM1s. But I'm talking specifically autofocus.
Just hit rate, yeah.
Oh, God.
Is it really close? That's really what I want to know.
I think the OM1 Mark IIs would do a better job than the G9 IIs would for wildlife. I do.
What about against the S1 II?
I don't know, man. I'd have to.
We're going to need a 3 to 600 to find out.
I'd have to
in
test
L-mount.
it out.
Let's make that happen.
To test it out.
I wonder how many of these they've made.
I think he'd be.
Yeah, that's a great question. Oh, write that down. Next time we see a Kazuto-san, let's ask him.
How many L-mount 300 to 600s have you actually made?
Yeah.
Now, sold is another question, but made.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's a special order, like the 15s, remember, went over there? The 14s. I bet that's the same boat.
I don't know. I would have to test it. So I'm just talking out of my bum here. But like, if I shot an S1 II with similar focal lengths, equivalent, and with equivalent depth of field,
yes,
I think it'd be pretty similar, the hit rate. But that's just my.
Yeah, I'm getting an idea here. It's something that I really want to make Chris do.
You son of a.
I want to see you put the BF versus the S1 II.
And you're awful.
S1R2. On a 300 to 600 shoot wildlife. I want to know. I actually legitimately want to know if if it's what the experiences are different. And
Okay,
like,
well, I hate you, and I don't want to do that.
shoot birds. Just shoot birds in Calgary. It's not that
What
big
do you guys?
Without
what do
an
you guys been up-
EVF on a 3 to 600.
get a hoodman. Get a nice like one of those things.
Oh,
on
the
back.
hood loop. Yes. They're back, baby.
Before I get angry, what have you guys been up to? So we can change the subject.
So it's been pretty quiet over here. Although I did go out. So we had peak cherry blossom on Saturday here in Portland, which is really nice that it happened on a weekend so that I could go out there and shoot. I went out Saturday morning as the sun was rising down to our waterfront where we actually have some cherry blossom trees that were donated to Portland by a city in Japan. So these are like legitimate, real Japanese cherry trees. And they line the whole section of the waterfront down by where the weekend market is, where we kind of wandered around near there when we had the
Was that the Pentax?
Pentax. Yeah, the Pentax.
Yeah, the 17.
17, yes. So we right underneath the big sign, the Portland sign.
Yeah.
That's essentially right where it starts.
Where all the boats were, because it was like a naval parade.
Yeah. So essentially, like that's right at the line of where the trees start.
It's very pretty down there. Yeah.
It's real pretty right now when the cherry blossoms are in full bloom. It's really, really nice. The whole area is pink. It's really lovely. I went out there with my X100, and then I had 3 shots left on my TX1 in Provia that I didn't finish when I was in Japan, and I took those 3 photos. And then I also took some Portra 800 in medium format and put it in my 617 camera, the Sasquatch, and took some pictures out there on that. And then immediately drove them over to Blue Moon to get developed. So
Have you got them back yet?
no, I should see them probably on Friday, maybe Saturday. But these are all. So I got a question on Threads asking like, why don't I talk more about the stuff I'm doing in Pano? Because the eventual goal is to actually make a whole video about 2 to 3 panoramic cameras that I've been using and the experiences on both. Chris has been there for the majority of my time traveling and using those things, and he can tell you some of the issues I've had with both of them.
Australia, I had to wait a lot for Jaron to finish with those 3D printed pano cameras. Like,
Jaron was the photographer uncle who slows everyone down on the family
boy.
vacation.
bro,
I had
it was
to
like
get my
vacationing
coat.
with a large format photographer.
So
I
I'd take the Orvis coat and I'd put it over there, and then I'd get the ground glass back so I could catch get the frame and the focus right. Because that one doesn't have a very good like loop on the top for
Dude,
for
everything
seeing the
took
frame.
more time than a Civil War portrait. Okay, it was
But I did get that picture in Japan. You both were there for that of the waterfall on that camera, and that is one of the best photos I've ever taken. So,
gorgeous. And I got like 40 pictures in that same time frame. It was awesome.
You did get that many. Yes. Also, I have had that photo printed. It's I have it as 4 feet wide by like a.
Oh, I want to see that.
It's really, really nice. I haven't put it on the wall yet because that room is currently under construction because there was a leaking front wall in my house.
Oh, that's
Oh, God.
Yeah, we're working on dehumidifying the walls and then figuring out where the leak's coming from and fixing it.
The leak's coming from the fact that your house was made at the time of the Civil War.
Yeah, it's old. That said, this wall actually has drywall. So somebody at some point took all the plaster out and put in modern wall. But it's it could have been much worse.
Wow,
is all I'll say. What have you guys been up to?
We were in New Mexico, weren't we, Jordan? Your Tamron episode came out. I said Jordan should call it the episode.
I put that in the description.
You
I
put it
did.
in the description. Okay, fine. But yeah, it was. We were in New Mexico. It's no secret. Shoot another episode of Trail Camera. I think you guys are gonna like it. We won't spoil anything else about that. But New Mexico is cool, man. I've always wanted to go there. It's beautiful, like, red rocks, amazing sunrises and sunsets every day. Middle of a heat wave, so it was like really nice. Like there was no
What temps
snow.
were you having out there?
In your language,
Celsius is
early low 80s. Like it was kind of in that 26, 27 degrees
That's
Celsius.
quite pleasant.
It was quite pleasant. And, it wasn't overly hot, but it was, and it's dry, of course. It's the desert, but
Did you
it's
whip
not
the
good.
flip-flops out, or were you in shoes?
No, I was in shoes. It's not good for New Mexico because they don't have much snowpack this year, and it's it's a desert, right? So water is life, right? Aqua es vida. So but it was neat, man. It like the people there are really cool. There's a very like sort of artistic streak that goes through everybody there. Taos we went up to, cool college town. But I just found everybody, I don't know what it is. I'm sure obviously there's exceptions, but for the most part, everybody we met and talked to in New Mexico was very chill, very kind, very open to sharing, nice smiles. Like, I don't know, everybody seemed like they were in a good mood there. And it was just like a really overall nice vibe in New Mexico.
What was the ranking of cities on as far as Chris being recognized? Where did that fall?
It was 1 and 1. Yeah, one in Santa Fe, and then one when we were out checking out the Chris, what's the word? Them holes in them rocks.
Yes, we went to Bandelier, one of the national parks there. It was really cool to see the Pueblo structures that were built there.
Thank you.
And yes, and then there was a gentleman there who's like, "Oh my God, you guys!" Like, "Oh." So we took a photo, and he didn't want to take a photo on a smartphone. He wanted to take a photo on his RX10 Mark III. So that took a little bit more setup, but it was cool. It was cool. He was a nice guy. Everybody was really nice. Yeah, everybody's really nice.
I'm going to do not what I've been up to because Chris already did that, but what I want to be up to because I had some withdrawal on this trip. Donkey Kong Bonanza got its claws into me in a huge way. It's great. I understand why everybody was losing their minds. And I was like, I'm not going to bring the Switch to. I'm going to be way too busy. So I left it at home with the kids so I could play it. And I'm jonesing, man. Like I'm home now. Wow. I got a lot of work to do. And I'm just like, I want to find bananas right now. And I can't. And I got lots to do. But there's so many bananas still out there. It's great. Highly recommend. I mean, I know everyone's already said, like, this is the most addictive thing ever. It is. I love it. Donkey Kong Bonanza slaps.
I've heard very good things. It's not my type of game. I haven't played it, but I have.
You say that. It's not. I'm not a platform guy either, but this thing rules.
I've been playing a lot of Marathon. I don't know if you guys know what Marathon is.
Yeah, well, I played it on Mac because I'm old, Jaron.
Oh, you play. So you're playing the original Marathon. Marathon got a new game.
I know. Yes, I'm aware. Okay, I haven't touched it yet. Yeah.
It's an extraction shooter. I have a feeling it would stress you out, Jordan.
Okay.
I like it.
Oh, now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So they took the Marathon universe from way back when and made it. Bungie did this. There's something about Bungie's gunplay mechanics that are just so good.
Where do you guys find the time? Where do you find the time?
I don't have children.
Okay. And I just said I don't have the time. So, I think we both answered your question effectively.
Go.
When work's over, I can go take a ride on my bike and then come back and leisurely make dinner and then go play video games for a couple hours. And there's nothing screaming at me for my attention. So that's how I can do it.
That's fair.
There's us in the group chat, generally.
Yeah. Well, if I live that long, I'll be a prolific video game player in my 60s, I guess.
It's good for your brain. Hand-eye coordination. So let's move on to some tech support. We got an email from ER153. Hi. Since you had some experience with the Xiaomi camera phones, I had a question that I hope you could answer. I bought a Xiaomi on a spur of the moment and on sale, and it works great for me in the US. As Chris mentioned, having the camera grip is fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
However, I'm a little confused on some of the color modes of this camera. When taking a picture, you have to select between Leica Authentic or Leica Vibrant. However, you can also simultaneously select Leica Natural and Leica Vivid. Similarly, when in portrait mode, you can pick Leica Portrait or Master Portrait. So my question, what is the difference between Leica Authentic and Vibrant modes versus Natural and Vivid? Do they stack on top of each other? What's the difference between Leica Portrait versus Master Portrait? Is it different than Leica Authentic and Leica Vibrant?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, and I actually found it kind of confusing. So there's these sort of two color tone ranges. That would be when you're doing photo, let's talk about that first. That's where you, not photo, but not portraits. That's where you have your Leica Authentic or Leica Vibrant. And effectively, it's just how it influences the photo's whole tonal range. The basic difference is Leica Authentic is your sort of, in actually some ways maybe more contrasty, but not as punchy. How do I describe that? Like the Authentic is where you get more of a neutral color tone, maybe a little bit warmer tone, and the Leica Authentic is also where you get access to all the color profiles. So that's the important distinction. If you want to go and use the color profiles, which I really like Scarlet or Cinematic or the blue teal kind of thing and all that kind of stuff, they're really nice profiles. Then it just by default goes to Leica Authentic, and it doesn't really matter. Leica Vibrant is where it makes more use of the HDR capability of the sensor, and so you get maybe cooler tones. I say less contrast because you're actually getting more mid-tone range. Like there's a lot more tonality with the Vibrant, but it's also pushing the highlights and shadows. So on a smartphone where we're looking at with an HDR display, the Vibrant is actually going to look more punchy and more vibrant and just more boof.
More boof?
More boof. More
I'm
boof.
always looking for more boof.
More boof. But if you want to use the color profiles, then it actually defaults to the Authentic anyways. And I preferred the overall feel and color tone out of those. So I hope that makes sense. The Vibrant basically makes better use of the HDR color space to really make things go boof. But myself personally, when it comes to photography, HDR doesn't really do it for me. I know it does it for Jordan. For me, I like to have more like color and conceptual tone and sort of character with the images. When it comes to the portrait mode, as I understand it, when you go into the Leica Master Portrait, that's basically just where you're unlocking all the like generative stuff. So we played with that in our review, Jaron. Remember where I could put like donut halos behind you or change the look of the bokeh. You can do things like skin softening and all that kind of stuff. And I don't love all that. It's kind of, it's a bit more AI, whatever. But I mean, if it's fun, you can have fun with it.
Cool.
Boof.
More boof.
Overall, the Xiaomi smartphones overall have tons of boof. Like it's a boofalicious camera. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
They can put that quote on the box if they want to.
I really enjoyed the boofaliciosity of the Xiaomi phone is peak.
The next one is a speak pipe from Ben.
Hey guys, love the podcast and a proud PP pal for over a year now. I had a question about APS-C sensors and low light performance for video. Why can't an APS-C sensor have a native ISO of something like 12,800 and get the same performance as an FX3? Thanks.
Now, Ben didn't say where he was from, but the way he said about makes me think he might be Canadian or somewhere up there.
I'm going to let Jordan answer this. I'm going to let Jordan answer this because, he mentioned the FX3. But just, Ben, thank you for being a part of our PP experience.
Yeah. So, I mean, the major reason for this, it's total light gathering. So when we're comparing different sensors, if you have physically a larger sensor, it's soaking up more light. You can tweak a camera sensor so it performs better at a higher or lower native end of the spectrum. That's why we see cameras with like different S-log sensitivity, things like that. So you could probably take an APS-C sensor and say, this is optimized primarily for the higher ISO range. And you could probably get like a third of a stop, half stop improvement on that at the expense of really diminishing your performance when you've got a lot of light. And I think most camera manufacturers are unwilling to make that trade-off. Canon made some industrial cameras with very high native ISOs that were specifically made for low light camera. I remember Jaron PetaPixel did some articles about like wildlife shooting with these cameras, which were originally designed for industrial applications. So it's possible to do that, but those were full frame cameras tailored for that. If you were really looking at a APS-C camera with that much emphasis on low light, it would be very expensive because people wouldn't buy it to shoot at those lower ISOs. As a result, they could just buy a full frame sensor and probably have those same advantages, like just grab an FX3 or something, because it would be such a niche product. And I think that's why you haven't seen that. But you could certainly get an APS-C sensor with better low light performance than we have now at the expense of base ISO performance.
The next one is a speak pipe from Anthony.
Do you think it's possible that we might see an all-new OM1 Mark III with a 25 megapixel stacked sensor and an all-new image processor?
I hope so.
I sure hope so, Anthony. I don't know what to tell you.
We don't know. There is a 25
want-
megapixel sensor, right? There is one that's like around there.
Panasonic uses one.
You can theoretically stack that and then update your processor and then therefore have the camera you're asking for. Will OM do it? I don't know, man.
I sure hope so. I sure hope so.
I hope there's a real kick in the pants, because even a new design on the OM3, it's still the same core components inside as the OM1 from quite a few years back. So give me something new.
So they've had two completely new products. I'm air quoting that again. Completely new products since being OM. And one of them was a lens, which is great. And one of them is the OM3, which is really just a redesigned OM1 with a worse shutter.
And EVF. But a beautiful camera.
Yeah, it's great to look at, for sure.
I would think, like, look, when it comes time for an OM1 Mark III, they would have to do something substantial because, like, you know, there's no getting around the fact that the OM1 Mark II was largely a firmware update with some very minor tweaks, right? And there was a difference with autofocus slightly, but, you know, like, I guess what I'm saying is I don't think people would sustain would accept a third version that was, again, just minor tweaks to an interface. And
what if they put a creative control dial on an OM1 Mark II, Chris? How many would you scoop up?
I think that would make me quite upset. So I sure hope, bro. I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with the creative dial. I like it, but yeah, that cannot be all it is. So I sure hope that they do something substantial. But who knows?
Yeah, we don't know.
We certainly don't. We certainly don't.
They haven't told us. And so, but if your question is, do you think it's possible? Yeah, it's definitely possible.
100%.
Totally within the realm of possibility.
Yes, and I sure hope they do it.
This next one is a question from James on Threads. Ooh. Hey, Chris, just watched your Nikon F4 video. Really enjoyed it, despite having no interest in the F4 either before or after watching it. You and Jordan do such a fantastic job on these videos. You could review an ice maker, and I'd probably enjoy it.
Let's do it.
It was really interesting hearing about your time in London. I can't imagine being that bold at that age. I took a safer route and did what was expected. I went to college, went to grad school. I can't imagine living in a foreign country at that age. I question whether I would have been smart enough to do it. Hearing you wax poetically about the camera in that time in your life was really neat. I really appreciate what you guys do. And yes, I'm a PetaPixel member. You and I briefly met at Build after the live podcast.
Thank you, James. I appreciate that. Well, hey, I mean, that's why we make those videos. And that means a lot because, you know, when we're making these videos like a look back on an old camera, it gives us an opportunity to talk about our past and our history and how we got into it. And I mean, I'm just kidding. I'm a fairly private person. I don't love to share a lot of stuff, but at the same time, it's mostly because I just don't know that people would really care or want to hear it. So the fact that you did hear it and you did care and you did appreciate it, that means a lot to me, James. Thank you.
Thanks, James. This one's an email from Yamin. Hi, gang. Hope everyone had some much-deserved rest booked for last year's holiday period. You can see how old this email is. I'm so sorry. My question is more for the king of bits, Chris, but I'd be grateful for Jordan's input,
No, I'm
too,
pushing myself away.
as I am considering dabbling in video. You know, actually, a lot of those bits aren't they actually Jordan's weird ideas?
Yeah. Well, what do you mean, the king of bits?
Like, yeah, when there's like a bit in the video, it's some of them are Jordan's idea that he makes you do.
A lot of the time of the bad dad jokes are Jordan's, and he, but I usually say Jordan under duress. I am repeating this joke that Jordan came up with.
He does like to pass the buck on that. If there's a joke that makes you actively angry when watching our show, that's me. That's a Jordan joke.
Yes. But we always come up with clever bits. Yes. Together.
Yamin continues. I recently upgraded from my Canon 7D Mark II to an R6 Mark II, and I've been in the process of importing my settings and custom modes, and all from one camera to the other. With you guys having tested so many cameras, do you have a workflow established for which settings you import across and their priority/importance to you? Yeah, immediately turning on RAW. Are there any things to look out for going from DSLR to mirrorless? Does Jordan have any beginner-friendly video settings tips? You can answer this and then I'll finish.
Yeah, do that now. Yeah. How do I go about this? Like, the job is unique in that we're reviewing all of these different products all the time, right? And as much as there's some crossovers among cameras, especially with basic controls, they're very nuanced in how they operate, how the UIs work, where all the options are found. And, so that is a big part of the skill, is just like having to navigate a new camera. Anytime the manager's like, we decided to change the UI around this time for fun, you're like, damn it, like, please no, like, And it's not just a legitimate thing about like maybe missing a feature. Like sometimes they'll do things where the camera will not behave the way you want it to until you learn these things. Some cameras are very easy to set up. Some cameras you really have to. I mean, actually, Canon's a good example. I'm kind of going out of turn here, but the R6 Mark II, the Canon autofocus menu will be quite different to you from a 7D Mark II to that camera. But like the 7D Mark II, you really want to customize all your different autofocusing scenarios. They have all of those different scenarios. One, like set 1, set 2, set 3. Very important to use the right one and that you set those up. You definitely want to get your autofocus point, or at least what I do is I want my autofocus to be tracking from the initial point that I start the focus. I usually like to have a single spot on an R6 Mark II, put it on a subject, and then have the AI, the eye detector working, or the animal detector working from that initial focusing point, whatever's close to that. So that's something you might want to set up. Get your autofocusing set up a lot of the ways like you would on the Canon SLRs. That hasn't changed too much as you go across. But yeah, like Jaron said, I like to turn RAW and JPEG on 100%, set autofocus on button, turn off my shutter focus because I'm a back button focuser. That's what I like to do. And so then I'll customize buttons to do that. I generally want to have something that will have ISO access right on the body, unless it already has a dedicated button. That's not always the case. I generally like to have a punch and magnify somewhere on the camera as well set up. And then anything beyond that's gravy. I don't generally play around with my white balance too much, so I'll just do that through a quick menu. But yeah, man, it's too much to get into. Every camera is like its own beast and has different workarounds. Some cameras will be more naturally tuned to the way I like to shoot than others. So yeah, it's
these days. I don't know if you're doing this as well, Chris, but I'm struggling to like keep my head straight. So I always have the horizon
level
line on there now, because otherwise I start drifting. I don't know what
it is. I do that too.
It's becoming worse. It's a problem.
Yeah, but I don't like the level personally. I don't, just because I find it obnoxious.
Oh, I love a level.
I need it now.
That's why Canon really bugs me. Yeah.
It used to bother me
disappears.
Yeah. I think I'm level. Oh, this shot's perfect. Record. Where did it go? Oh God.
Yeah, because mid-shot, I'm starting to go like this. I'm starting to drift.
I do it constantly. On a monopod, I'll just start like using it as a support system and creep my way over.
Yeah, it's bad. It is so bad. Is it an age thing? I don't know what it is, but I cannot stay straight anymore.
Too much drinking, I guess. I don't know.
I do actually have an order of operations when we get new gear into test. I want to make sure that the file format is something that's compatible with editing that I can work with, obviously, is my first priority. And then past that, just make sure that my autofocus exposure settings are where I want them. My problem constantly is I'm like, I'll set up custom buttons later if I need to. And when I need to is when I'm shooting and I have not set them up. And this happens to me almost every time I'm testing a new camera.
Why can't you learn from yourself, Jordan?
I know. I should just go do that. But yeah, and even in New Mexico, I had a new camera and I didn't have my punch-in set up, none of my custom buttons. Everything took way longer than it should have, and it was dumb because I should have set it up early. But I am now stubborn and obstinate in my middle age, and I guess I'll just keep on punishing myself forever and learning nothing.
Yamin, don't be like Jordan. Set up your custom buttons.
Never be like Jordan.
I know. I do religiously.
Jaron T-shirt.
Religiously, when I get a new camera, I have to sit down and set it up. Like you have to. I don't want any surprises during a shoot. Yeah.
The last bit from Yamin's email is, lastly, I just wanted to say thank you all for an incredible year of journalism, laughs, and inspirational art, and for introducing me to Sarah Teng's work. I cannot wait to see more of her on the channel. She's working on a video right now, actually. Her Iraq video was probably my favorite thing I've seen on YouTube all year. Mm-hmm. It was so loving and not at all exoticizing and deeply respectful. Truly brilliant. Here's to another year of amazing photography and jokes of camaraderie. Well,
Oh,
Hopefully,
very
we're
nice.
fulfilling on that in
Thank
the
you.
first 3
She's
months.
a very talented photographer. Absolutely.
Yeah, Sarah's work is great. Sarah's currently working on a video about visiting Hokkaido in Japan.
Oh,
so
yes. Because you guys were just there. Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you know that? Oh, Chris stepped on me.
Because I'm shy.
Yeah.
So that's I'm hoping it's coming in the next month and a half. She's got a lot on her plate right now too, because there's a lot of shorts. So like the best way to follow Sarah is really through Instagram. So follow us and her on Instagram. Make sure you can see more from her. But she's got a ton planned this year, as far as I know. That she's going to at least 2, if not 3 or 4 locations this year to photograph and tell stories, and they're all like crazy cool locations. I don't want to spoil it because I want to make sure she drops them when she wants to. But yeah, just doing some cool stuff. The next one is a speak pipe from Kenneth.
Hi guys, Kenneth from the little European island of Malta. Thanks for all your lovely content. Quick question about a high resolution non-stacked camera from Nikon. Do you think that there will be an update to the Z7 with the new AF capabilities of Nikon? And if it happens, it being a photography first camera, do you think that Nikon might do a vintage version or produce it in vintage version first? There is a vintage looking APS-C from the Z50, a vintage version lower resolution from the Z5. It would be really nice to see a vintage version, new autofocus solution from Nikon with a vintage inspired looks. What do you think? Should I wait or just go for the Sony A7 R5? Thanks.
Oh.
You want a vintage looking Nikon, but if you can't have it, go for the total polar opposite and get
Sony
a
won't
modern
do
looking
it.
Sony.
Sony won't do it. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the Z7 is I guess the vintage inspired version would kind of be the ZF, right? I mean, but the Z7 is a nice camera. I think the autofocus capabilities will absolutely improve in the next version. Will they make it vintage inspired?
Will they make it at all? I feel like they should.
We
but
did
I
a
don't know
whole
that they
podcast
will.
on it.
Yeah,
I don't think
I
they
want
will.
one.
I do too.
I feel like the Z8, the Z9, the ZF are carrying that sort of torch. Yeah. But the ZF is not that same resolution. So I don't know. Z7, Z7 III, I guess it would be.
I like the idea of a high resolution vintage camera. I think that's something that would have a lot of appeal for people.
Yeah.
You know, photography first, because that sensor's not great for video if they do stick with the older one that was in the Z7s, but giving it the current autofocus, that vintage body, I think that would actually be
nice.
a pretty compelling package.
They
It
should
would.
also release a bunch of their old vintage lenses, like a 105-25.
You know, that's the thing is Nikon hasn't really decided to break the 45 megapixel barrier, right? And would they? If they wanted to, I guess the Z7 would make the most sense, wouldn't it? Like
Yeah.
a Z7
Take
III
a
60
60
megapixel
60.
would make the most sense. But I doubt that they would make it like a vintage inspired version first.
I agree.
I think they would probably make like a new Z8, Z9 camera 60 megapixels. Not Z9. Well, I mean, the Z9 needs to be replaced too, let's be honest. So, yeah, that's a good question. That's a really tricky one, Kenneth. Otherwise,
I'm not feeling strong that Nikon has sold enough of the vintage cameras
yeah.
that they would do it again. If they were selling a lot of those, I think we would see more of their lenses get the vintage look to support that before we got another body.
I figured out the answer.
Oh,
I figured out the answer. Buy the Sony A7 R5. Highly recommend the camera. It's a great camera as long as you don't need like ultra fast burst rates and big buffers. It's a beautiful picture taker, compact. The autofocus is brilliant, zero issues with that. And just take a wire brush and take off all the black paint on the top base plate and bottom base plate, and you'll have this panda silver black camera, which will look vintage inspired. I'm going to do that right now to mine.
Well, you do that to yours? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Next week on the podcast, Chris debuts the Zebra camera. We're committed now. Moving forward, folks. Woo. Get ready.
Buzz off all the paint. Going to do it.
That makes me nervous.
He's not going to do it.
Last one is
I might do it.
He's not going to do it.
No one's going to know.
No, he's not.
They're going to know. Okay.
He's not going to do
they're
it.
gonna know.
They're not going to know. Who's going to know? They're not going to know.
Last one is a speak pipe from Michael.
Hello, Jaron, Jordan, and Chris. Michael here from Massachusetts and a PetaPixel member.
Thank you.
I traded in my A7R4 a few years ago and purchased an X-T5 and have never regretted the decision. The Sony and the lenses I had were great, but I wanted a more tactile experience, and having an aperture ring, dials, and buttons versus scrolling through menus really made a difference for me. I want to purchase another mirrorless, but not a Fuji. The reason is because when I look at my camera shelf, I want my decision to be what kind of experience do I want today, and not which Fuji do I want to use. I'm also not interested in a point and shoot. My question is, which camera bodies do you currently own or have you owned, which you found to be the most fun? Why? And if you could have only one prime lens for that body, what would it be? Thanks.
Oh, man. It's the Fujifilm TX1.
Well, fair enough.
So
fair enough,
your
Jordan.
consistency is an attribute, Jaron. I appreciate
and you know what?
that.
If I could pick one lens, it would be the 90.
Sure.
The 90 millimeter. I prefer the panoramic look in slightly telephoto.
I mean, Michael, it might be time to look at something like that, right? I mean, here I've had this out the whole time. This is like an M11, beautiful camera. We're actually testing the Typoc Kasana lens on there right now, so that's going to come out soon. But like, if you're looking for that tactile experience and just a different way of shooting, that's definitely it. If
You said the same thing
cost.
to me and made me buy a Bessa, and you were right.
I was right. And then I created a monster. I don't even know if you touch your Bessa anymore. Anyway.
It's because I've been shooting a lot of pan. I will use my Bessa soon.
Yeah. And Jordan's going to have input too, because he's got a lot of cameras he likes to do as well. And he likes to do a lot of photos. But like camera bodies we own, we don't really own a lot of camera bodies because we're always testing a lot of camera bodies and it changes every week. And that's just the dynamic nature. And so that's kind of the one thing in my job where I'm like, I never really get to stick with a camera very long and get familiar with it because it's on to the next one. But
Well, the A7R5 you use all the time.
Yeah, the A7R5 I use all the time, but really I use it for utility because it's like there's so many lenses that we test that are E-mount.
Every
and
lens
it's got
is
the 60
available in
meg-
E-mount, yeah.
Exactly. And it's got the strong sensor to really push that lens so you can see where it falls apart. But the A7R, I mean, I know you didn't have a great time with your A7R4, and I get it. They are soulless, but I do love the camera. Like the A7R5, I think is just dependable, reliable, easy to transport, beautiful image quality. I don't care what the haters say, they're wrong. Obviously, a lot of analog up there, the FE, the FG, the F4. I do use that occasionally. We've been doing a lot of analog stuff lately. But what would give you another tactile shooting experience? The Leica is really the sort of like extreme of that experience.
Well, he's asking more, what camera have you used that you thought was fun to use?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Fun, with a different experience.
I have to agree.
depends.
Rangefinders, man. Rangefinders are fun.
Yeah.
And they're fully different experience.
Because you got to define fun. Like I will say this, for me personally, a big part of fun is when the camera itself works without issue and is convenient and gets me the shot.
Oh, the
without
GM5
problems. No, the GM5 is kind of a pain in the ass in some ways. Like that's where the A7R5 would be a super fun camera. Like if I was going to go travel and shoot photos and I took the A7R5, it would be fun, not because of the camera experience, but just because I know that the photos are going to be good and they're going to be consistent. I'm going to have a great chance getting them. That for me is fun. But if you want the actual tactile experience to be fun, which I totally get, yeah. I do love the GM5, but it is a pain in the butt. What else would be fun? The Sigma
Jordan,
BF is not fun. Jordan? I'll think
what
about
camera-
it. You tell
What
people
camera
what you think is
made
fun.
you feel fun, Jordan?
Okay, so if I'm going to go just modern and disappears into the shooting experience, my favorite's the Canon R5 series. I love the handling on those cameras. But then they said your favorite prime, and I was immediately like, I want to spend more time with that Sigma 35-1.4. That lens is my jam. Guess what I can't mount it to? So now everything is in disarray. But my favorite that doesn't take interchangeable lenses, my favorite shooting experience has been the Leica Q for years. Every time I get one of those in my hands, I'm excited to shoot with it. And that's one of the few cameras. Functionally, I don't need to take it out of autofocus, but I generally manually focus with it because the viewfinder is so good and the haptic feedback on that feels so excellent that I'm not doing it for a practical reason. I am actually doing it because it's more fun that way.
Yeah. That is a good option. The Qs are fun. And they don't have a 35mm lens on them. They have either 28 or 43, which is awesome either way. Big support of that. So yeah, those are fun too. But yeah, I think that's yeah. What prime lens? For me personally, if I had only pick one, it would be an 85mm lens. On the Leica, it'd probably be like a 75mm lens. That would be my personal one lens to choose.
The one that brings me fun and joy that's not the TX1. And I actually think the TX1 is a little lacking in some areas because it's a little too digital in a lot of ways.
Ooh.
Like because there's nothing I do with it. I focus and I push a button and it does the rest.
Right.
If I want to be more involved in the process and really, that's the Bessa. It really is the Bessa. And with the 35mm 1.2 that I have, love that lens, love that experience. The other one that's really nice, and I'm going to make a video with Chris on it eventually, is the Contax G2 is another really fun experience.
That is
camera.
a fun experience. That's a nice camera to use. Yeah.
And we're going to answer the question, why has nobody else done that since? Thank you for the question, Michael.
Breaking news. Songdian is now going to come out with a G2 inspired camera. It will be $140 and it'll be absolute hot trash.
That wasn't breaking news. That was just made up. Last one is the feel-good story of the week. And I feel like Jordan will feel good about this one because it's movie-related. I don't know. Chris, too, maybe. I don't know.
I want to see it a lot. Yeah, it looks great.
At the end of the movie, Project Hail Mary, which has been a smashing success. Everyone loves it. I haven't seen it yet, but I'd like to.
Taking my kid this week.
During the credit sequence, you will see a bunch of photos of space. Those were actually taken by a photographer who captured all of those in his backyard.
That's
brilliant. They reached out to him, and that his pictures are real pictures. I mean, you might think that these are just artistic renderings, but nope, those are real pictures of our universe taken by a photographer, and he's super proud to see them at the end of that. I think that's super neat.
That's really nice to be supporting actual photographers because, if I saw this on the credits, I would assume that they just did it in CGI or AI even. And
except
so it's great.
This movie used a ton of practical effects. They shot none of it on a green screen, as far as I understand. So this totally tracks with like the feel of this movie. It's real.
But it's using a ton of CGI, obviously.
Yeah, but not a green screen. And they use a lot of practical effects. Like some of the sets are insane.
The priority sounds like it was definitely to get as much in camera as they possibly can. I mean, I'm just proud. I've been on the Lord and Miller bandwagon since Clone High. Y'all remember that from like 20 years ago? So I feel very vindicated that the biggest original movie in half a decade is by those two. Yay. My guys coming through.
Nice.
All right. Last thing as we close the episode. I'm hoping to have final news and information about this next week, but you'll notice Chris is wearing a new Loca shirt.
I was going to say, the feel-good story of the week is we have new shirts.
I'm wearing a different shirt by Harper Finch.
I'm wearing Kermit getting attacked by Jaws.
That's not on the shop.
That is not on the shop, but I think it's a pretty good shirt.
PetaPixel. That's nothing to do with our company at all.
I like it. It's a good shirt. But the shirt that Chris is wearing and the shirt that Jordan was wearing in his episode, those will be coming to a new shop that's dropping soon. I will have information on that hopefully next week. I've asked Chris and Jordan to do one small, tiny, itty-bitty task for me before we can do that, but
not going to happen.
Okay. Well, we'll see what we can get.
I got your back, boo.
Too busy.
Thank you so much thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
There's more Kermit.